Our next storyteller this evening is Kristen Smith. Kristen is a visual artist and has been educated as a filmmaker. Her vocation is related to media production, and her rest and renewal rhythms involve creating visual works. So please welcome Kristen.
Thank you. Yes, so I was educated as an animator. I worked as an animator for a little bit. I'm not really sure what I am now. That's part of the story. I'm going to do the reverse. I'm going to show you a film that I made. A friend of mine, a few years back, we developed an idea for a show, for an animated show, and it's about a hapless cowboy named Will and his imaginary talking cactus. And it's called Mild West, and we had we wrote and recorded 3 episodes, 3 one-minute episodes, and I was going to direct and animate all 3. I finished 1, and that was the last film I've made. I'm going to show it to you now, though.
Yay!
You can go to the quick time.
Ugh, this guy is the worst.
Looks all right to me.
I grew up with him. Trust me, he's the worst. You know that feeling when you hit your thumb with a hammer? He's the subhuman equivalent. Also, once he hit me with a hammer.
You're really jealous.
Of him? Why? Because he's worth $1,000?
That, then this picture makes him look manly enough to be on a tonic bottle. A virility tonic bottle. Just look at his mustache.
He's had that face fungus since he was 7.
No way! Sounds like the most masculine kid ever.
Or a serious glandular disorder.
So jealous. What'd he do to you? Steal your girlfriend?
No. Don't be ridiculous. Not all of them. Plus, relationship-wise, I was about to break up.
You know, must be why they call him the lady killer.
Actually, that part's pretty literal. They're still finding victims' heads and shoulders.
Knees and toes?
Knees and toes all over Mexico.
Women love a scoundrel.
Please. I'm twice the dashing scoundrel he is.
Then why aren't you a famous gunslinger?
Well, I've been very busy lately. With the dollar at its current rate, increasing tension in the Middle East, not to mention the whole telegraph thing. I mean, how's that going to affect the cowboy industrial complex? I mean, next thing you know, we're all out of a job.
You know, the guy found something he loved doing, and he did it until he was the best at it, God rest their souls. For you, that thing is procrastination.
First thing tomorrow, I'll look that word up and become the best at it. Definitely this week.
Okay.
Sunday at the latest.
There you go.
So we wrote 3 episodes. I got halfway through the second one and just couldn't keep going. I reflected on it. That first episode was made 5 years ago. And the second one is not done yet. It's like halfway done. It's not done yet. And it's just been such a battle. And as I reflected on that, I realized, you know what? The first episode was also kind of a battle, too. It was only a minute and a half long. That's 90 seconds. You can multiply that by 24 drawings per second. But in either case, it's relatively not that big of a project. But it took me to some dark places. And as I reflected on my experience finishing the first episode, I realized I had this pattern in my life. When it comes to animation, when it comes to working on my own work and my own films, I go to these really dark places, and it kind of stems from like imposter syndrome, but it goes like kind of even further. If you can go to the next slide. This is a screenshot from one of my folders. So the second episode has like maybe 14 scenes in it. This is scene 8. And I have 42 versions of scene 8, which means that I started and stopped 42 times, could not get past it. So next slide here. So I began to realize I have this pattern of just sort of disappointment in what's coming out of my hands. And then that spirals into just like frustration. That spirals into self-hate. And I'm like, that's really dark. How did I get here? And I just am not, it is just a struggle, you know? And so I encountered Stephen Pressfield's book, The War of Art, and I'm like, yes, resistance. And I'm studying like resistance hacks, and I'm trying to like analyze my own, you know, workflow, and I'm trying to get up at different times of the day, like all these things. And it's like sort of work, it's helpful, but it's not solving my problem. And so if you can take a closer look, I'll spare you the details, but there's 42 versions spanned across literally since 2015. So it's been like 4 years. So next slide. A year ago, I spent a night with our Dwell folks where we were talking about identity versus calling. And the Holy Spirit called me aside so that he could essentially deconstruct my calling and then deconstruct my identity. So he did that by kind of deconstructing my grammar. We went through all of the verses, like from Galatians, I am crucified with Christ, it is no longer I who live, but Christ in me, and I became, you know, one part of myself, and me became this other part of myself, and I realized that I was abusing me, and I was not taking care of me, and it was just like, I don't know what's going on, but I kind of lived into that, and then a few months later, I was like, you know what, I think I understand my identity is not my calling. I think I get that now. Maybe it's time to revisit Mild West. And so I opened the file, it's scene 8, you know, I create version 42, but all the old ghosts kind of come back. And I find myself going down that spiral again, and I don't know if any animators in here ever use like Adobe Flash. They don't even make Adobe Flash anymore. They call it something else. It's been like that long. But like Flash is like infamous for crashing on you. It's like the most frustrating tool of animation ever. And I was spiraling down. 3 hours later, Flash crashes as it does. And I was like, what is going on? And I was just crying and upset and hating myself, and then trying not to hate myself because I have my identity secure. And then I finally realized I asked God to be my creative director. I asked God to direct Mild West for me. I asked him to teach me how to use the tools that he gave me, because he did confirm that he gave me these tools, and he did confirm he gave me that love for drawing. So if you'll just go through the next few, next one. Oh yeah, just showing you version 42. A lot. So we started to learn how to make markings again. You know, we use pens and markers, things that I can't erase, can't do Control-Z, can't undo anything. I have to accept like what's there, and I have to build on it. You can go through. And we learned not to be afraid of like the blank page. We would just start. We didn't have any direction of where we were going. We would just start. And the goal was to just keep going, make a thing out of it. You can keep going. And this was over the summer, and now, yeah, you can keep going. Now I'm learning to bring back in like observational drawing. So it's like, could you go back once more? Where it's like, okay, what I learned to listen and how to commune, let's take that back into observational drawing, not get distracted by what I'm observing and what it's supposed to look like, but all of those lessons. So I still believe in Wild West. I owe it to my writing partner. I owe it to those fantastic actors. I owe it to the people who actually laughed. I owe it to my characters who I actually do love. And I think that I am just going to be stronger to revisit this, to finish it, and then to move on, because this isn't even my magnum opus. Thank you.